You're looking for something. A new way, a new understanding, a connection, some comfort. You've got questions, and Light on Living puts the spotlight on all the answers so you can shine. Lift and lighten the load of life's challenges and learn simple and easy ways to live a healthy, happy life. You'll gain insight and start to see things in a new way that motivates you. You're invited to hear new, see different, and feel more as Lisa shines the light on living.
Hello and welcome, everybody. You're here, Light on Living, with me, Lisa Berry, your host, and we are continuing our series from Sacred Hearts Rising. And this is quite an interesting episode here. We're going to give you a lot of tools, but I want to introduce you to Nadine. Nadine Hanchar is one of the co-authors in Sacred Hearts Rising. And Nadine, I'm just going to share a little bit about you before we bring you on, because you do the most. I love what you do, actually. Okay, so here we go. I better share with everybody what you do. Everybody, Nadine is a counselor, consultant, speaker, and trainer since 1986. She recently became an international best-selling author, and we know where, Sacred Hearts Rising, as a personality profiling expert. That's fun to say that. So as a personality profiling expert, Nadine is the developer of the PEP, that's PEP, personality process, and author of Knowing Me, Knowing You. The PEP personality process, which offers incredible insights into ourselves and others and how our processing style affects our personalities, relationships, communication, and life. She is proficient in a wide range of modalities and disciplines and has taught most of the therapies and techniques she uses. Nadine specializes in working with trauma, abuse, relationship issues, and communication. Instead of the client having to fit the therapeutic tool, Nadine is using an approach which can include many types of traditional and non-traditional methodologies. Therefore, the therapy is designed to fit you, the client. I want to say this is fabulous for just individual people, couples, families, organizations, and this to go forward and better the quality of life. Nadine, this is all about how we communicate. It's like getting to know ourselves so we can understand how we, right?
Yes, it certainly is about getting to know yourself, but it also helps you to, if you know someone else's processing style, how to actually get to know them as well and how to bridge the communication between one style and another. Yes, bridge. That's the most perfect. I'm throwing this out because I know we're going to be talking about the chapter in the book. I just find this fascinating. I have to go on this. Do you think that what is the benefit of learning that bridge, of how to maneuver and go across that bridge? Well, relationships, which are, we're all in relationships of one kind or another. And, communication is actually more than 50% of every relationship. So if you know how to communicate and you know how to work with another person and bridge those differences, our differences actually make us, more resourceful and, we're more creative and all the different things. And so it's really good to be able to bridge that, because then we can share those ideas and we can share things in a much better way. More resourceful and more creative. Right there, that sounds like the solution to humanity. And you're right, but bridging those two, we're not saying, hey, you're different over there. You keep your creativity here. Let's pull it all together. And so the benefit, Yeah, the other thing is that people have a tendency to take other people's behaviors or tonality or their body language and interpret them through how they would be feeling or what they would be thinking if they were doing those things. And sometimes that's just not the way it is. If that person processes differently than you, the way they use their tonality or their body language could be quite different from yours. So, and it might mean a totally different thing. And so by understanding that, we don't jump to, these misunderstandings and these conclusions that are not accurate. That I can think of so many instances where, just an easy, silly one. I'm happy a lot and I smile a lot, even when I'm not comfortable. And so sometimes somebody will say they've made a dish. Let's say I'll make this really simple. They've said they've made a certain dish and they've put red peppers and onions.
Now, I don't like red peppers and I'm allergic to onions, but I don't want to ruin them telling me this exciting dish. So I go, wow, that sounds really good. But I'm not saying for me it sounds really good. It sounds really good to them. And because I'm like, ugh, yuck, I'm not going to do that. So I can see now where something like this would really come in handy, where we learn about ourselves, like how could I better and more effectively communicate, and how can I better understand people?
Mm-hmm. It's been a godsend for me and my children, I can tell you.
Yes. Oh my gosh. Oh, question about that. So with children, your children, have they all taken the PEP? Have they done the quiz?
Oh yes, I knew how they process from a very young age, which was great because our children are not all processing the same, and so one child, how you deal with one child or how you deal with another child needs to be quite different. I know that, parents always are trying to, well, I need to do, the same thing with all the children. Well, that doesn't actually work.
Oh my gosh, that is so true. That's actually really helpful, especially I think for parents, because you're right. They're saying, yeah, I'm trying to be fair. I did this to that child and I need to do it to this child, but you're right. It doesn't effectively work that way. In your chapter in Sacred Hearts Rising, yes, can you share with us what you chose and why you chose that theme or that event in your life?
Yes. Okay. So I chose to write about my first marriage, which was many, many years ago now. I've been with my current husband for 22 years. But my first husband and I wrote about it because it was a very subtle thing. And a lot of times people get into a relationship, and over a period of time, things are happening and you lose little bits of yourself and you don't really recognize that you're losing them. Mm-hmm. And so I wrote about it because I thought that, a lot of times when people think about trauma or, that kind of thing, they think about it, being really large events and yes, or really, violent events or, those kinds of things. And I wrote about this because there's lots of people out there that are living in fear, but they don't even know they're living in fear because it's been such a subtle thing over a period of time. And, I think that I was writing to those people that don't realize that they're actually living in an abusive relationship.
Mm-hmm. That is actually I love that you said subtle, mm-hmm, because it's there. You're aware. It kind of perks your little ears or your heart up, but then you're like, oh, but you're right. It's not this big trauma, like a big, massive event at this time. So subtle, is it subtle losses or subtle? What would you say that is, a subtle?
Well, my title of my chapter is called Frog in the Pot. And I don't know if you're familiar with that story, but the story goes that if you take a frog and you try and put it into a boiling pot of water, it will jump out. But if you take a frog and put it in room temperature water and you turn it up degree by degree by degree, it will sit there and boil to death. And so that's the title of mine, and that's where that title comes from, is that it's degree by degree by degree. And so slowly over time, you don't even realize that you're changing and losing parts of yourself. I can remember that after I left my marriage, I was driving along and all of a sudden I was singing, and I was like, oh, when did I stop singing? Oh, yeah. And so I got that back, but I hadn't even realized I'd lost it, I remember being in a grocery line and looking down into my cart, and I started laughing because there wasn't one thing in my cart that I would have bought if I had still been in the relationship. Wow. Everything in the cart was something that I liked.
I love that's like that represents what your choices are now yours, right down to the smallest ones.
And so in my chapter, I think most of the chapters end with a way that you can actually start to heal. I know that in my chapter I've got a few things that you can do at the bottom of the chapter where you can actually learn how to go beyond that, right? So the book is really about healing, and it's about going beyond and thriving after you've been through some traumatic event or some something that has caused you to live in fear.
Yes. When you say live in fear, that's an interesting thing. If somebody's listening right now, what would be, so I know the people who are living in fear, like, oh my gosh, I'm afraid to do this and I'm afraid to that. What about the subtle? What does the life look like of someone who is living with subtle fear so they can recognize and go, that's me maybe?
Well, I think that if you're walking on eggshells around your partner, if you're walking, if you're sort of trying to control what you say so that you don't set them off, if you're, in a place where you're afraid to ask for certain things, or, there's topics that you definitely avoid, or you stop going to see people that you really love to see because they don't like them. If you're starting to isolate from, if for some reason you're being taken away from your friends and family because it's just too difficult to be around them anymore. Those are all sort of signs that you really need to watch out.
And just on those, because that's very helpful. Those were extremely helpful. How do we know? Say somebody's doing all of those. So it's like I've been in relationships like this before, and I'm like, oh, I remember all of those. But I remember also thinking, but I'm choosing that. He's not making me do this. So how do we know when it's us?
Well, often they don't tell you directly. They just make it uncomfortable. And so, and the thing is that if you're isolating, or if you're, you don't have appropriate feedback from other people, you don't have people that you can talk to, and often you're embarrassed to talk to. That's one of the other things that can go on. But if you don't have someone to give you appropriate feedback, then, you have a tendency to get to the place where you think, well, it's just me. I need to do, I need to improve. I need to do it better. And so the person in that type of relationship starts to blame themselves.
Right.
And of course, the person that they're with actually encourages that.
Yes.
And they're very good at flipping things back on the person. So, if somebody's, if they do come up and they say, well, I've been feeling this way and I want to talk about it, the person will flip it right back on them and say, well, it's all your fault. You're doing this. And the reason I did that was because you did blah, blah, blah. So, they don't have appropriate feedback in their life. And what I would recommend is that they find someone like a counselor or someone that they can trust to talk to get some appropriate feedback, because oftentimes it doesn't take a counselor too long to figure out what's going on.
Right. Yeah. So some safe place to do this. For you, and I'm sure that you'll have to get the chapter. Everybody will have to buy the book so they can read the chapter. But when you were writing the chapter, because it's been 22 years you've been with your now husband. So did you have to go through a period of really, was it hurtful and hard and difficult for you when you were writing it?
I'm going to say no. And the reason I'm going to say no is because I've healed long ago. I've done a lot of my own personal work, and I have done actually quite a bit of my personal work actually before the marriage ended. But even, afterwards I continued, of course. And, things came up as I was out of the relationship, that every time something came up, of course I would, and I'm in the field, so I'm in the field of personal growth and counseling. So I had a lot of tools and I had a lot of support, in terms of the friends that I had who were also, NLP trainers and counselors and things like that. So, so I actually, when I went through it, my thoughts when I was writing it is, how can I actually be of service to other people that are going through this? That was more my thoughts when I was writing it.
I love that. And often, and I do like to ask each of the authors, whenever anybody's involved in an anthology or compilation book, because some authors are writing their stories to heal, but not in your case. It's like, well, I've been through this, and I you've changed your life, and now I'm going to ask you, are you happy? You're happier in your life.
Very.
Yes. And in writing the chapters, to reach out to others to say, do they recognize any patterns? And if so?
Well, and not only that, but I also have had many clients since then that have been in those situations, right? And so for me, if I can put that in a book and have it out there for somebody to start to get their healing process or at least get some tips in terms of what to do, that for me is a wonderful thing, you know. And so, and I mean, for a lot of the people that have written chapters in the book, my understanding is that it is a healing process for them. And, you know, that is one way that speaking up, you know, and saying, you know, I can talk about this. And, you know, I'm not afraid to talk about it anymore.
That's right. Are we ever too old to learn to communicate better?
Never. Never. We are learning machines.
Good.
Human beings are learning machines. And, you know, if I say anything to anybody, it's like, be a lifelong learner. You know, lifelong learners, because your brain wants to learn. You're as a human being, you want to learn. And so learning is wonderful.
You know, it's funny. I was just having this conversation last week, and you know, if we use our bodies, we'll break them down, and if we use up something else, we use it up. But the one thing that the more we use, the stronger it gets, the younger it is our brain. So I love that you said that.
Oh yes, well, we can create new neural networks at any age. So, you know, we can, you know, everybody has the ability to change. You know, this old idea or this old myth that, you know, old dogs can't learn new tricks is not true.
oh, I love that you said that about, like, okay, so what is the saying about a spot can't change its spots? Hold on here, leopard. A leopard can't change its spots. That is so untrue then, because what if, here's an example. If you... No, I don't have a good example here. Just have a question. Say somebody's always had relationships over and over, the same result, the same frustration, the same abuse cycle, the same codependency. Is it just just don't know the right way, or is it that it's ingrained and it's going to be that much harder for them to change?
So, well, what happens is that when we have certain patterns within ourselves, if we don't change those patterns within ourselves, when we see if you look at it as two sides of a coin, okay, the one side attracts the other side of the coin.
Right.
Right. And not necessarily attracts it, but is attracted to it.
Yes.
Right. And so what happens is that, and in the beginning, a lot of relationships that are not healthy are often, you know, they often appear to be really, really wonderful, right?
Oh.
Because everybody's doing everything to make it wonderful. You know, everybody's on their best behavior.
Yes.
Right. And so what ends up happening is that, you know, as things change, whether it changes subtly or whether it changes, you know, significantly, you know, you think you're getting into something different. Right. And so, you know, it's really important to heal your own issues and to heal your own pain, so that, because we're attracted to the familiar, and that's just a human evolution thing. You know, we're attracted to what's familiar. Yeah. And, you know, we like people that are, you know, in NLP, it's like people like themselves, you know.
Yes.
And so there's this attraction thing to people that are like us. And when, you know, both sides of the coin have, both of those stem from low self-esteem and a low sense of self-worth. And so that needs to be healed. And, you know, if you heal that, you heal all kinds of things.
Actually, it's interesting thinking, you know, if the root cause of each side of the coin was low self-esteem and low worth, they're going to express it in different ways, but that's the root, and so they're attracted to each other because, yes, let's say I have low self-esteem and low self-worth. I'm going to attract somebody else with it. However, we're going to feed each other if that's our pattern, and if until we learn how to to work on our self-love and respect first. My mother used to always say to me when I was younger, growing up and dating and stuff, she goes, it's the 3 months red flag thing. She goes, you got to see what happens in 3 months. And I always like, why 3 months? Why? What do we suddenly just go, oh, month 1, month 2, month 3, boom. Who are you in month 4? Like, what happened? Is that true? Is there anything into that?
Well, I've never heard that one before. So that's an interesting, I think what she was just trying to say to you is that get to know the person. Yeah. And, you know, if I could get one old-fashioned thing back into our society, it would actually be courting.
Oh, yes.
Because, you know, in courting, you actually get to know the other person. You actually find out whether, you know, they have similarities in terms of what their likes are and what they, you know, different things about them. It gives you a chance to have an argument or two to find out how you handle those things.
Right. Yes.
And I think that it's, you know, people jump into relationships very quickly these days and in all kinds of different ways. And, you know, we don't really know each other. I think that's part of it. And you know, and you still have the ones that can do it for a longer period of time and then turn into people that we don't want to be with as well. But, you know, I think that would certainly help a lot of people.
Yes. Well, because you did go personal and share this in your chapter, how much time did you work on yourself and learn about yourself before meeting your husband?
Well, now that's a story. Well, I was with my first husband, the one that I wrote about, for 19 years, so it wasn't a short period of time. Mm. And I need to tell you that it wasn't all bad. He's actually got lots of good qualities and lots of wonderful things about him. And that's the thing that, you know, that I also want to say is that it's not about somebody being totally a bad person, right?
I'm glad you said that.
Because I think that's also, you know, people think that if they're bad, they're all bad. They're not. And, right. You know, I had many, many wonderful times and many wonderful things with him. Mm-hmm. But, you know, there was always this other side as well. And, you know, so I had worked on myself probably for the last 15 years of that marriage.
Oh, okay.
So I did a lot of my work on myself before the marriage ended. Right. And in actual fact, he asked me for a divorce.
Oh, I love that twist.
I was no longer the person that he could be with, right? Because I had changed so much. And so I had done a lot of my personal work before even the marriage ended. And then I actually met my current partner so I separated in June and I met him the following, January. I met him and then,
I love that. You changed yourself into freedom. You didn't even have to be the one to leave. He's like, wait a second. So yes, I love that you worked on yourself for all that time and then had some time on your own to be able to attract a new kind of coin. Mm-hmm. When it comes to that kind of work, the work you did during the 15 years, is that what you teach?
It's one of the things that I teach, yes.
Okay. So because I want to invite people to work with you, to explore working with you. It doesn't mean they have to be out of a relationship. They could be in the relationship. They could be out. They could be at any point. This is when they connect with you. It's where are they at in their life? The ones what does it look like for them to connect with you?
Absolutely. Yeah. And you know, if both people are willing to change, the relationship can change as well. So, you know, I'm not a proponent of, you know, if things are not working, you know, exactly the way you want them to get out. I think that people can change, but both people need to want to change. And, you know, if it's only one that wants to change, then that doesn't work over time.
Oh, that is so helpful. Oh, I really appreciate you saying that. Because I think one thing people get scared, they get fearful. It's like, oh my gosh, I can't leave, and that stops them from allowing growth. Mm-hmm. I can't leave. how can they get a hold of you, or is there, the best place to find out what this PEP is all about?
Well, I have a website if they'd like to contact me through my website. It's progressive. Well, it's www.progressiveplus.com, and they can get me that way. I also have, a Facebook page, and I have, a telephone.
Yes. Well, what's really great? I do invite everybody to get a hold of you. I had the pleasure of speaking with you already it was just a perfect timing for me. And I'll share this with everybody. It doesn't mean you're in the middle of a breakup. It doesn't mean that you are, it's just meaning that you would like to learn better. How do I communicate, and how can I bridge that communication with others better? And Nadine, I just loved that first phone call. We're going to have you back on the show because I want to explore more about this. I think it's very important that we all learn this. So a big thank you, first of all, for even being a part of this book, because that's how I met you. So Sacred Hearts Rising. But otherwise, I just want to do a big invitation to anybody to get in touch with you to find out how to just communicate. Is that the best way to say that?
Well, yes. I mean, anybody can learn about their processing style, and it is also in the book. So if they wanted to get the book, which is available online, Amazon or Barnes and Noble, they can get it online as well. And Knowing Me, Knowing You, the PEP Personality Process by Nadine Hanchar. So that would be probably a place to start as well.
Okay, well, everybody, this has been Nadine Hanchar, Hanchar, and thank you, Nadine, so much for joining us and putting a beautiful chapter in Sacred Hearts Rising book series.
Thank you very much, Lisa.
Thanks, Nadine. Okay, everybody, we'll be back right after the commercials with Jennifer Grenier for another part of Sacred Hearts Rising series.
The best of the holistic, spiritual, and conscious world. OMTimes Radio. IOM FM. Being a radio host on IOM FM allows you to build your show on a rich platform with the power of the internet to fulfill your outreach goals and connect with a very specialized and global online audience, unlimited by time and distance. OMTimes Radio will provide you with web relevance, a recognizable conscious brand, and with the standard of excellence that has accompanied every single OMTimes endeavor. Host your show with OMTimes Radio Network.
Have you bought into the idea that you have to work hard for your money, that business is hard? I will share some dynamic access consciousness tools to get you out of your own way so you can create a business that actually succeeds. Join me, Simone Millicers, on The Joy of Business at 4 p.m. Mondays Eastern.
Hi, it's Olivia Munn with my shelter pets, Frankie and Chance. Say hi, guys. When I adopted them, I discovered that they both have incredible personalities. Chance's sole purpose in life is to love and to be loved. Frankie is a little bit of a scoundrel and always entertaining. They're a little bit of a lot of things, but they're all pure love. Adopt pure love at theshelterpetproject.org. Brought to you by the Ad Council, the Humane Society of the United States, and Maddie's Fund.
Oh, welcome back, everyone. We are continuing this series of Sacred Hearts Rising. And our second guest, Jennifer Grenier, I'm going to read her bio to you in a little bit. I have a very a neat connection with you, Jennifer, because both you and I, and as I share about this, we're out a little bit out of the country and we run our business digitally. And so I'll share that. But that was one thing that I really enjoyed our conversation prior to this, because your story really helps, and it really shows people that we can do anything. I like it.
100%.
Yes. So everybody, let me introduce you to Jennifer, other than she's an awesome author here, co-author of Sacred Hearts Rising. But Jennifer Grenier, that's Grenier, is a child of God, mother, wife, auntie, Nana, and digital business owner. She's a co-author, a child chauffeur, love that one, sports hustler, sideline cheerer, chef, housekeeper, and you get the picture. With a blended family, she puts her heart
heart into her family. She grew up in a small town with an even bigger dream. Jennifer and her daughter moved from Valley View to Grand Prairie, Alberta in 2004.
Received a book from Sacred Hearts Rising after my sister had passed. And she was sharing with me about the book, but I didn't really pay too much attention to it. I kind of, listened to what my mom had to say, but it wasn't my time yet. And so then when I met Elizabeth through our digital business, she introduced me to Sacred Hearts Rising, and here we are now, a year later after I wrote, and our book is about to be released here in the next few weeks. And I just really value the connections that I make through our business, and then it leading to Sacred Hearts Rising, because it opened up so many doors. So the power of the internet, the power of technology, it's amazing when you open up your mind to think, there is more out there.
There is, and you can be out in the middle of, of tons of acres around you, and the connections. Yeah, and I feel that way even when I first met you. I thought, yes, because there is a way to connect by opening our hearts, opening up with any stories that we have. It does connect us, and we realize that we're all really not that far away or distant. Yeah.
Yeah. And it's interesting because you meet people and then you realize these people know people that you know.
Yes, absolutely. I love that. That's a neat thing. You're like, oh my gosh, you know them. And even right now when you talked about Elizabeth has done her show. And so and right away when you said her name, like I just lit right up again, like, oh yes, because we do open our hearts in this way. And you actually started the digital marketing company in 2018, which is only 2 years ago. You're coming up to your 2-year anniversary, but there was a reason why you specifically had to start, didn't have to, chose to start this as well as wanted to.
Yes. My husband and I we had sat down and we talked about really wanting to find a way to spend more time together with our family. Both of our dads passed away when we were, my husband was right around 20 and I was mid-20s. And we just really wanted to spend more time with our family and so we decided we would look online to see if we could find a way to do that, to be able to still live our life to our fullest, but have our family by our side. And so we started off on a prayer and we just prayed for it. And then one day there I found it in my newsfeed as I was scrolling through Facebook. And I come across another story of another family, blended family like ours, similar but different, of course. And I was just curious to learn more. So I just decided to jump in and learn what they were doing. And here we are now. We just celebrated our 2-year anniversary actually yesterday. And we're meeting new people all the time, and it has opened up so many doors and changed our lives.
Well, first of all, congratulations, starting a business, having it be viable and enjoying it, and 2 years, that is, that makes me feel good. And that's something that's really nice to hear, because I know when we hear conversations around the world, literally saying there's no jobs left and everybody's underpaid and nobody's buying anything or spending, that really can be heavy and scary.
Yeah.
And so what you mentioned prayer, that yes, you hold that in your hearts. And I love that you said have our family by our sides. You didn't say spend more time with, which you did, but meaning you said by our sides. Did the whole family jump on board when you said, I think I found it on Facebook, here it goes? Or did everybody kind of have questions about it?
Well, of course, I mean, we still have family that is skeptical. They think they don't really, I don't know, we've been doing this for 2 years, but they're not really on board, which is fine. It's not for everybody, but our children absolutely love it. And that's our main focus, is our children and our grandson. He's going to have his first birthday in 2 days. And we get to spend, that extra time with them and doing the things that we just absolutely love doing. Like, we loved traveling. So this year we're going to be able to do a bit more traveling. And we're actually considering homeschooling our son next year, which now, in light of everything that's just happened, that transpired yesterday, as in Alberta, they closed the schools.
Yes.
So we went from, but I'm incredibly blessed to be able to spend the time at home now with my son, and he's a very much big part of our business. And then what better way to show him that there is more options out there.
Mm-hmm. Now, because you have the digital online business, and that's one thing. When you wrote the chapter, so your chapters in Sacred Hearts Rising, was it your plan, or do you plan on taking authorship further? What would you like? What was your purpose for your chapter?
So the purpose of my chapter is I always wanted to share my experiences, because when I was going through what I was going through and what I shared in my chapter, I endured a lot of physical, mental, and emotional abuse in 3 different relationships. And it was until I was like open enough to stand on my own 2 feet for myself, that I realized that it was, I did not need to be in those relationships. I didn't need someone beside me to belittle me and make me feel less of a woman than what I am. I had to be in the space to own it and want it for myself to make that change. And I just wanted to be able to share with other people that when they're going through similar experiences, that they're not alone. Because when I was going through that, I didn't know where to turn to. And the people that I did turn to, they didn't know how to help me. So I just wanted to be able to share my truth and my experience with other people in hopes of, reaching just at least one person, and, knowing that they're not alone and that there is places that they can go to for help, and they can, have that support system when they're going through a rough time, because it's draining.
The feeling alone, it's the, if I tell my mom or my friend, it's going to either A, hurt them, or they won't know how to help. That's a big one. I think that's a one that I'm relating to in different times, going, oh my gosh, I've had this thing happen, and I can't even go to them because they don't know how it will hurt them to know this. So that's why I'm such a huge fan of all these kind of anthologies and books that are out there. People have written their chapters and their experience, because it's a safe way. So if a listener right now is going through something like, wow, you know what, I'm feeling that way, I've got nobody to turn to, they could read your chapter and feel connected and supported with, but safely. They like, you're not right. They could reach out to you, or they don't have to. Like, so if somebody, if they read your chapter and they decided, wow, I really connect with Jennifer, do they reach out and do you coach them, or is it just you wanted to write a chapter to inspire them to know that there is help out there?
Well, if they wanted to reach out, and if they wanted to, converse and back and forth, and we could talk about different things, I just wanted to be there to know that I am available if someone wants to reach out to connect. As for coaching them, I can coach them through my personal experiences and be there as, ear to listen to, a shoulder to lean on. But also through Sacred Hearts Rising, Leaders for Change, I am going to be opening up a chapter here in Grand Prairie. So then I'll be hosting monthly events. And I'm super excited about that, because then that's going to be a safe place for people to come and listen to other people, listen to their stories, and then also be able to open up and share and just spread more light on Sacred Hearts Rising, because it's true and dear to my heart, and I stand behind it 100%, and I'm honored to be a part of Sacred Hearts Rising in every direction.
That is so cool. I am so happy to hear that. Just you saying that, I really felt like you just offered a space, a container, whatever you want to say that, like a monthly event where people can, and whether it's maybe not virtually, but they attend, when people connect in person to it, it does have an energy to it that's very supportive.
And there's not many resources like that for people to come and have that experience, you know, to be able to sit there and just listen, and what they take away from it, that's on them personally. And if they're willing and open to sharing more, then that's on them personally as well.
Yes, you don't have to do anything, but I like that. Exactly. I like that. Get ready for yourself. Because of your story, just knowing a little bit about your background there, we don't always know the events that are going to show up in our lives. Exactly. You know, taken by surprise, like, wow, am I really in the middle of this? Like, how did I, like, wow. So when you talk about getting ready for yourself, standing on your own 2 feet, when you're saying stuff like that, what are some foundational pieces that maybe somebody that you would suggest them to start kind of being aware of and looking at and asking themselves to get ready for themselves?
Well, what helped me was journaling and writing things down. I really took a deep look at myself, in every ounce of my being, basically. I had to learn to love myself because I was belittled and stuff like that by people that were not happy with themselves. Yes. And when you're repeatedly talked down to, it makes you feel very, very low about yourself. So then, that is still something that I work on today, even with my husband. You know, he'll compliment me or he'll say something, you know, absolutely amazing. But then there's that little voice in my head is like, really? You know? And so it's a daily thing that I work on with myself, but I do love myself. I love myself wholeheartedly, and I give every ounce of that back, and I instill that with my children and everyone that I speak to, because it comes from within. You have to love yourself to be able to put that out there.
I like that you had just highlighted, and so anybody thinking about this, you can love yourself but still be working on it. You might struggle a little bit or get caught off guard, like, oh no, I can't. And is it a level of worthiness? Is it a level of like, okay, I love myself, but not that much, or I love myself, but I'm strengthening my love?
Well, yes, it's definitely strengthening every day. And when you actually really do love yourself, you can just feel that it just radiating outwards. Like you shine better. You just glow. You can tell when people are just with themselves, basically. You can, and it's a beautiful thing. It's taken me years to get to where I am now, and I also I thank God every day for showing me the light of loving myself.
Oh, I love that, showing me the light of loving myself. That's what glow is. I think that's a good definition. Is there anybody who is past the point of loving themselves?
What do you mean by that?
Oh, sorry. It can no matter how mean they've been to themselves, how mean they've allowed others to be to them, like the extreme abuse of life. Is there hope for everybody? Is everybody capable of getting there?
Oh, there's hope for everyone. Yes. There is absolutely hope for everyone. But then it boils down to, you have to want it for yourself. At the end of the day, we are our own person, and no one can change us. No one can make us who they want us to be. We have to be who we are and true to ourselves. So at the end of the day, when you want it for yourself, if you've been in a situation that you're unhappy with, you're the only one that can make the change. Yes. So ultimately, it's our own decision, right? So going forward, then you learn from it. You either learn from it or you don't. But those learning lessons, they just open up so many doors.
Yeah. I like that you say about you have to want it for yourself. You know, this is something so interesting is that there'll be something I'm pretty positive and I really do have a lot of self-love. I'm really happy about it. I like to glow. And but there are things like what you said, you got to get into it. So maybe I'll notice a pattern like a week, maybe even 3 weeks of me saying something to myself that I don't like, that I've been doing, that I've turned into, that I've done. And then I stop and I think, oh my gosh, why don't I'll stop saying that I don't like this about me anymore and start saying I'm so excited to do, like, for an example, if I've been a bit of a lazy potato couchy, let's say, in the winter, I'm not liking certain things, instead of just saying, God, I hate this about me, I can start saying, wow, I'm really looking forward to doing this about it. Just more loving, like what you said. You have to want it. Like when you're being mean to yourself and insulting yourself, you don't want that. So you want to flip that conversation about, well, what do you want for yourself?
Exactly.
So what do you want for yourself right now, Jennifer? Is there something that you are working on that you are wanting for yourself, like that you want something?
Well, not that I'm really wanting anything, because I'm very content with my life, and I'm every day striving to go forward. But I do have days where I have a low day, where I have to honor myself and give myself that day. And your healing journey never ends. Just because you think that you're in a really good place doesn't mean that it's over. It's still continually going forward. So it's an everyday, I want to say, what's the word? It's just an everyday choice to make, to really just be happy and live life to your fullest every single day, and have zero regrets. Have integrity, be truthful, be honest to yourself first and foremost, and just live your best life.
It is. I think what you're saying is great. It's a mindset. Every day you wake up, you choose it, love yourself, and say, I do love myself, and I want this to be the day that I will have, like you said, no regrets. The day that I will really honor myself and be integral. Do you think that picking up the book, Sacred Hearts Rising, when they read, how can you not be inspired? But that is a great. What else do you do that continues to help you become inspired to say that, to stay on track, so that if, like, reading great books is one thing. What's another thing that just really puts you in the mindset? Like, what's your daily practices?
Meditation and prayer, morning and night for me. Stays me in focus and on track for myself. Spending time with my children and my grandson, my husband, my family, and just really listening to them, just being present in the moment, and just really taking that in and taking nothing for granted, because it can be gone in the blink of an eye. So I just thoroughly live in the moment, and I plan for the future. I do. And I just want to be able to have people know that that we all have a story, and we are the writers of our own story, and just make it count.
I think that's really neat that you said stay present, listen, like stay present, but you also said plan for the future. And that just inspires me to remind people, this is the moment you have. No other moments are guaranteed. However, when you plan for the future, expect goodness to come. Expect a life. Just have that expectation, because it doesn't matter if you do or you don't, but if you live in the present moment, thinking with that anticipation of, life, of joy, that influences the moment that you are in.
Yes, exactly.
I love that.
Vision boards were beautiful too.
Yes. Oh, actually, okay, that's a fun question. So when you do, maybe you don't know yet. I don't know. We're planning for the future here. When you start your monthly chapter events, I don't know how to word that. Yes. Okay, yeah. Will there be things like activities like that? Will there be doing vision boards or just storytelling, sharing?
There's going to be a lot of sharing. As for any of the activities or something like that, that'll be just in the future of how that all rolls out. We're not quite sure yet. But there will be, I want to have interactiveness. Like I don't want it just to be someone at the front talking. I want there to be the interaction, because the interaction is what's going to help heal as well.
Yes. Yeah. Well, that's actually where we started. You started talking about connection. Yeah. That's so beautiful. Yeah. And you're right. And so you're really taking connection to its both limits. I love this. Sorry, I shouldn't say limits, but both sides. Because yes, one being online. Yeah. Is there anybody? Well, we'll hear, because we might as well do this. I would love to do this. Is there a particular person who you do invite to connect with you to do online business? Is there like a niche as a certain field that you are putting it out there to people to work with you?
Well, we like to work with, we just like to work with people that are like-minded to us. So we really want to be able, what we do is we just coach and mentor like-minded couples and families who are just passionately wanting to start up their own digital business. And then we provide them with the education, training, and interactive support within the global community that we're in. And we want to work with people that are outgoing, open-minded, family-orientated, because that's who we are. We just want to be able to open the doors to show people that, there's more to life.
I like that. Yeah. More to life than just, one track mind business. It can be all interactive and have everybody included. Well, I would just love to, everybody to, and first of all, invite you to, pick up a copy of The Sacred Hearts Rising. Pick up more than one copy, because these are great gifts as well. And especially if you've got a whole family reading them. I mean, everybody needs their copy. They can follow along. I love to write in my books, like, a scribble all over it.
Inspirational notes, Yeah.
Yes, and highlight them. So first of all, the big invitation to everybody is to absolutely pick up their copy. And secondly, if you're either wanting to spend more time with your family or at home, with your loved ones, and you would like an online business, digital marketing, please get in touch with Jennifer Grenier, and we can put the links there. They can get you on your Facebook page, or what is your website? What's the best place for them to get a hold of you?
It's www.jx2grenier.com.
JX2 Grenier, Grenier.com, and we'll put that link there. But first of all, Jennifer, thank you so much for sharing this inspiring, connecting time.
Thank you for having me, Lisa.
Oh, it's been a pleasure. And everybody, we are going to continue this series next Monday as we have two more incredible co-authors sharing their stories, pouring out their hearts, and just wanting to reach out and inspire you as well as we continue the interview series for Sacred Hearts Rising. Thank you so much, and thank you, Brenda Hammond, for bringing all of these co-authors together. Thank you, Jennifer. We'll talk to everybody next week.
Thank you.
Okay,
Thank you.
Bye-bye, everyone. Bye.